What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome to another Warframe video. So, we're going to be talking about the second of three dev workshops today, the Helminth expansion update dev workshop thing. I'll be talking about what's in their little update they got going on, and, talking about how it's kind of irrelevant and kind of a slap in the face at the same time. We've had plenty of those over the last couple years, so just throw another one on the pile, and I'll be talking about it today. Before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to the channel. And make sure that you are you. Make sure, if you're not you, consult a doctor. Alright, so let's get into it. What is the dev workshop we're talking about today? Well, it is the Helminth expansion. And here we go. We have a age-restricted video because these nerfs are not suitable for all ages. It's not really any nerfs for this one, actually. All the nerfs were in the previous update. We're going to have just some new grinding. Like I said, this new Parvos update is going to be one of the grindiest things you've ever seen. And yeah, we're just going to go over it right now. So, the new Helminth expansion, it's basically going to be 5 more levels of Helminth with 5 more abilities that don't seem very impactful. Let's just go over it. There's also going to be basically Warframe Rivens, I guess I'd call it, sort of, but it's more like an arbitration buff, weekly arbitration buff for 3 different frames. So we'll talk about the new abilities, but let's just briefly talk about the little like infusion thing. So here's what we're talking about. This is their official video right here. So once you buy this new segment, I think it's going to require rank 5 with the Entradi Necrolisk Syndicate. Once you hit rank 5, wow, they have a lot of dislikes on this video. Once you hit rank 5, you can go to Sun and buy a new Helminth segment, the Super Helminth segment, for 30,000 Entradi rep. So it doesn't matter that you already have the Helminth thing before. You need to get rank 5 with the Entradi, give them 30,000 more rep, then you can buy this, then build it, then install it, and you'll get this thing. It's like once every week, 3 random Warframes will have these little like random buffs. So like for example, they had primary damage and armor for Gauss.
And 3 Warframes will be eligible for week long.
Okay, and then we've got also like I think it's like ability strength for a Banshee. So they will vary in usefulness and power. So 200% increased ability strength, 75% ability efficiency is a lot better than 1,000 armor on Gauss, as far as I'm concerned. And the last one that they had, there's example right here, 200% melee crit chance increase on Excalibur, and also a heal rate. So he heal health over time. Another thing as well is once you do 10 of these little infusion things, I guess they're going to cost resources. You can't really tell if they cost resources here. Once you do 10, you'll be able to control which one it's going to be. So as you can see in this little right here, after 10 invigorations, a mutation allows one of the current invigorations to be applied to your equipped Warframe. So it's supposed to be random. And that's a really funny face Rebecca's making. So it's supposed to be random, but once you do 10 of them, I think you'll have like 1 stored up. It's like, okay, well this week, and these buffs last a week. Well, okay, well I've done 10 of them. It's been like 10 weeks. This week is the fun week. I get to actually like, put 200% increased power strength on Sevagoth, get 200% increased power strength on Saren, on Loki, and whoever you want to put these buffs on. I think they'll still be random after that, which is kind of crappy. It's like, okay, so I waited 10 weeks to do this, and I get 1,000 more armor. That's not fun. Like, that's, having 1,000 more armor is like, you might find it fun for just like, chilling in like a Kuva Flood, like this gameplay on the screen is a Kuva Flood. 1,000 more armor would make me more tanky here. But I feel like if you're waiting 10 weeks to get these, I feel like it should be like more, like you should be able to pick what kind of buff you want. Like, I want 200% increased power strength that week for Sevagoth, or whatever. I want higher primary damage that week for Sevagoth after all this waiting. Now, if you can do 3 at a time, like 3 per week, like right here, maybe it would be more. It would be only like 4 weeks of waiting instead of 3 weeks or 10 weeks of waiting. So we have to get more details on that. Let's read the dev workshop verbatim here, though. Overall, I think it's like a kind of fun idea. I don't know why I have to buy another Helminth segment for it, but whatever. So yeah, there will be 5 more ranks. So rank 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And at rank 11, you're going to get the new ability, Parasitic Armor. Sacrifice your shields to reinforce your armor for a period of time. I feel like this is kind of silly. Might be funny for getting your Rhino Iron Skin even higher than before. So that's probably like one of the niche uses of that. I can't really think of any other niche uses because a lot of the times your shields are going to give you shield gating, and shield gating is just like, it's OP, basically. They should rework it. It's stupid. Increased armor, like, sure, I guess. It could be maybe funny if you are using Helminth Pillage. Oh, wait, you can't. Never mind. I guess if you're on Hildred, yeah, you can't use 2 Helminth abilities in the same frame, so you will never be able to cheese with Pillage, because also Hildren, you're not going to want to get rid of your shields and Hildren for some armor, so not a very good ability there. They could have just replaced it with something more interesting, but that's what it is. The next one, level 12, Hideous Resistance. Grant yourself immunity to status effects. There's other ways to get status immunity that don't require you to be rank 12 with the Helminth and do nothing else besides just give you status immunity. Thinking mainly the Spellbind from Titania. There's like Prime Sure-Footed, which isn't status immunity, but it might as well be status immunity if you're using it with Rolling Guard as well. I believe with Firewalker, if you stay on the fire, you're immune to status. Other things like that. Like, you can find a way to do it. This just, I don't know why, this should be something more interesting as well. I guess if you don't have any of that stuff, you don't have any of this, and you somehow get to rank 12 Helminth, there you go. Hideous Resistance is the ability for you. Rank 13, Voracious Metastasis. Consume energy to heal yourself and grant matching energy to each ally. Could be interesting on Garuda for a support build. Garuda is really not a support frame at all, but I guess you could kind of make it work, where like maybe you'd Helminth off her 1 or her 4 or something like that. You could use the second ability to heal your teammates. You could use the 3 to cut your health and get more energy, and you could use the Helminth Voracious Metastasis to consume your energy to heal yourself and grant energy to your teammates. So you could be like an energy battery Garuda, basically. Could be potentially nichely useful in the future. I don't see it in many other frames that will be very good on, because like you can't really like, self damage is gone. I guess maybe like if you're using like the Hema or something, you could reduce your health. This is a very, very niche ability that I don't see much use in. Like just like Parasitic Armor, I can see one frame this is good on. I can see one frame that Parasitic Armor is good on, one frame that Voracious Metastasis is good on, and that's unfortunate. Sickening Pulse. This is rank 14. Emit a pulse that adds stacks to status effects already affecting the enemies, except Bleed and Toxin effects, which are duplicated with fresh timers. So basically what this means, it adds stacks to status immunity. So let's say the enemy has, let's say they got like 4, I don't know, like impact procs. Yes, let's talk about the most useful proc in the game, impact procs. The enemy's got 4 impact procs on them. You use Sickening Pulse. They will probably have 10 impact procs on them after that. As you know what 10 impact procs does? It makes them more vulnerable to pairs on finishers. So, yeah, it's not going to work on Bleed or Toxin. It will probably still work on Heat. It will probably still work on Electric, which are damage over time effects, and Gas damage, I guess, as well. But overall, it's not going to be a very useful ability, and it's level 14. Like, I'm sure we'll find maybe like one niche use for Sickening Pulse once it comes out. But it's similar to Expedite Suffering, which, by the way, why is Expedite Suffering just being ignored again? Like, Expedite Suffering sucks. That's the rank 10 one, and these abilities are even higher ranked than Expedite Suffering and are equally crappy. Isn't that hilarious? Like, Mark for Death is rank 6. For double the amount of XP, you get Hideous Resistance, which is, like we just talked about, can be replaced by Spellbind. And, like, these useless ones. They should probably just, like, buff a lot of this stuff, including Expedite Suffering and Mark for Death. The last one, the highest rank one of all, is the Primed Metal Detector. Actually, it's called Golden Instinct. Send out a short-lived Void Spark that is drawn towards the nearest medallion, Iatan Sculpture, Unscanned Curia, or Unscanned Fragment. So, depending how terrible the range is on this thing, it might be useful for Syndicate Medallion hunting. I usually was using Greedy Pull on those kinds of setups, but, I mean, I wasn't really using Greedy Pull that much, to be honest. So if you were going to use, like, Zaku, Korra, Limbo, whatever you're going to be using, you're basically going to go for, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about this build, but we're just going to quickly show it here. You're going to go for max range for using the 4th ability on Zaku. Now, there's lots of uses for this build, not just Syndicate Medallion hunting, but, like, basically go max range, and as you can see, I've got Greedy Pull on here. Actually, I took Greedy Pull off. So I'll just replace Greedy Pull with this new ability. But the problem is that it might be a duration-based effect, so I might need to change the build a little bit. But basically, you use Zaku's 4, it breaks containers and like loot boxes and like resource caches on the map. So you blast everything around you. If with this much loot radar, you'll see if there's more loot on the map. If there's still loot on the map, it's probably a Syndicate Medallion or an Iatan Sculpture. I don't really care about Curia hunting at all, but apparently some people do, so good for them. They're going to have a metal detector to find that Curia in the mission, potentially, if it's close enough to them. So, I mean, this is the only one that sounds actually kind of interesting out of all of these. Like, oh, it's something we didn't have before. It's like an actual metal detector loot radar thing. All these other ones, they might as well not even exist. I mean, like, super nichely useful. I'd probably just use some power on Rhino, honestly, instead of Parasitic Armor. Voracious Metastasis might be okay on Garuda, But I'm using Gloom on Garuda, to be honest. And then, like, Hideous Resistance and Sickening Pulse, like, just throw them in the trash. The level 15 one's the only interesting one, and it's kind of like a meme ability in the first place. So, yeah, not a very good expansion at all, in my opinion, these last 5 ranks of Helminth. Oh, not to mention, well, we're going to skip down to the bottom here real quick. When the update comes out, if you, like, let's say you're rank 10 at the Helminth or whatever, like, you've already fed every frame to it, because for the longest time, there was only 10 ranks to Helminth. But feeding every frame of the game to the Helminth would get you, like, above level 10. Well, too bad. Early adopters get screwed, because if you have already fed all frames to the Helminth, they don't care. They're not going to give you a retroactive increase to your rank. You're going to need to go back to doing the old thing where it's like, feed it up, infuse some crappy ability that has like a low cost. I think it's like Master Summons is pretty low. So just infuse this, remove it, infuse this, remove it. It increases your XP every time, and you're going to waste a bunch of these resources, Bile, Calx, and Oxides. So it's basically going to be another resource sink, because they just, hopefully got a bunch of Ferrite and this stuff, because you're going to need a lot of it, because they're not going to... It's basically early adopters get screwed. They don't care about you. They just want you to grind more. The most grindy update in a while is coming. That's for sure. All right, and let's finish up this dev workshop here. Sun has been busy developing new biotechnologies for the Helminth. Visit Sun and Necrolis to obtain the Deimos segment thing. Blah, blah, blah. So every week, the Helminth will have will have affinity towards 3 random warframes. You can interact with the Helminth with these warframes to gain selected weekly buffs. 1 offensive and 1 for defense and utility. For example, Zephyr becomes immune to status with Empower Strength. Atlas gets primary crit chance and 1,000 armor. Excalibur gets 250 melee damage and power efficiency. These will be drawn randomly per player. Tenno can check their Helminth during the weekly reset to see what invigorates are available. By the way, weekly reset is on Sundays, I think at like 8 p.m. EST. So that's when weekly... Well, actually, there's like multiple weekly resets in this game. There's like the Wednesday weekly reset, which is for Riven Shards or whatever for Iron Wake. But like that's like just super random, honestly. I think that must have been like when it came out and they just didn't change it to the actual weekly reset. It lasts the week before the power of the Helminth wears out. To give players some control over the powerful buffs, the Helminth takes note of your interactions. For every 10 invigorations you'll do, you'll be able to select what warframe receives the next buff. So it's 30. Yeah, that's just like 30,000 Entrati standing to hit, and you have to hit rank of family. So as it says right here, it doesn't look like you're limited to 1 per week. So if you do all 3 every 4 weeks, you'll be able to pick which buff is going to be on your frame. Or which frame will get the buff. It will still be a random buff when you pick it. So yeah, overall, I feel like this is... It could have been better, is what I want to say. A lot, like most things in this game, it could have been better. I mean, completely ignoring the early adopters get screwed thing. Like, these abilities are boring. Like, sacrifice my shields to get armor. Sacrifice my health to get energy, or whatever the heck that one does. The Mel Detector is one of the lamest ones, but it's actually the most interesting because it's an effect we didn't have before. So, yeah. It's not looking good. At least it's better than the Parazon changes one that's coming out tomorrow. But yeah, we should have what they should have done is just reworked the old abilities, made them better, make Mark for Death a little bit more interesting. Actually, no, Mark for Death is interesting, but make that one a little bit stronger. Make Expedite Suffering maybe entirely different, or just buff it a bunch. And then the other stuff, like, whatever, honestly. So... At this point, guys, it's just sad. We're going to keep making videos, though, and keep playing the game because we enjoy the game. It's just the devs that could definitely use some work. Either way, I'll talk to you next time. Take it easy and peace.